Yeah,
You're okay.
yeah, I was muted.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to say a couple of things. The first one is that yes, I agree with Dr. Laid Zaglami, and I agree and understand Dr. Michael Dimacho. Everything that they're saying, we agree. Sometimes it is painful when we look at the state of affairs in Africa. I completely understand them. When it was the both of us were talking, I was moved. But it's not like we have more hope than them. It's not like we have more hope than Dr. Zaglami, for instance. Is that we need to try and flip the script. Sometimes the issues on the continent of Africa will be there for the next 100 years or so. There will be conflict between countries. There will be conflict within nations. There will be clash of ideologies. There will be clash of races. The thing that we talk about, even though I was talking about the golden age of Pan-Africanism in the 50s and the 60s, people had issues. I mentioned Félix Houphouët-Boigny, for instance, the president of Ivory Coast, the first one, who was in the beginning supporting Pan-Africanism, and later on he sided with the French in order to go against that movement. So Joe Iti, and then Dr. Artie Mobley spoke about Casablanca and Morovia because of ideological differences. We will always see that. But what we are trying to do is that when I was talking about reclaiming the spirit of the All Africa People's Conferences, and based on what Dr. Zaglami said and based on what Mobley said, well, it looks like we agree because we have to go back to that moment and to see what they were doing. And it's not like after the 50s and the 60s, it's not like that long, long walk of Africa stopped. Oh, the struggle against apartheid in the 80s, 60s, 70s, and 90s. We saw Mandela how he was inspired by the Iberian Room. We saw Thomas Sankara. We saw, uh, uh, so we have some examples. But as you talk about the Sahel state, I've been thinking about talking about that before you ask. The reason we did not score in Niger by the puppets of France who were Macky Sall, former president of Senegal, uh, Bola Tinubu of Nigeria, Alassane Ouattara of Ivory Coast, they are Benin. Why they could not do the war? It is also another success story of Africa that we don't talk about. It is because there were some countries that they did not want to side with them. Cape Verde, for instance, even Togo, that all of us, denounced because of the human rights violations. Togo did not side with them. And then some other territories, and also because of the popular mobilization. Even though Algeria today has some tension with some the Sahel state countries, but Algeria opposed the French intervention through ECOWAS, certainly because of the history of Algeria. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes we know rosy. I mean, there are many bad things in the continent of Africa, but there are things we have to we have to flip the script, and we have to wear some different lenses and see the pockets of victory and then symbol of resistance and some successful Pan-African corporations processes. Before I come back to the Sahel state, I want to give you the example of the crisis in Ivory Coast when the French and the Europeans wanted to go into the war. Gbagbo, the one thing many people do not know, I can talk about it because I'm from Ivory Coast, and then I wrote a book about all those elements, is that they wanted to go through Nigeria and then through Ghana to do the war against Gbagbo. But it is because Ghana refused, and it is because Nigeria refused That's why the French themselves in the United Nations, that's why they were obliged to go and bomb Gbagbo's forces. What I'm trying to say is that there are many examples like that. We can talk about many other elements in different parts of the continent. So we, even though we know that there are things that are not correct, if we look at those elements, we can have some signs of hope. This is what I try to do. Now, what Ibrahim Traore is trying to do, it is what we spoke about in the beginning, when we claim the spirit of the All-African People's Conferences. That's where elective neutralism. Number 2, the Pan-African cooperation. Number 3, the political and economic liberation of the continent. These are the 3 pillars of the Pan-African diplomatic doctrine. So this is what they're doing. The only problem with the leaders of the Sahel states, there are a couple, I'm going to talk about that, is that they don't, it looks like they don't have it's a little bit hard, but I have to say it. It looks like they don't go back to the past in order to know that what they're trying to do today, people did that before them, so that they can know why they succeeded, or how they succeeded, and how they failed. I don't see that historical consciousness with the leaders of the Sahel state. And I don't see that historical continuity, like when they do things, even though Ibrahim Traore talks about Thomas Sankara, but Thomas Sankara was great. He was not the only one. And then Najet Zamouri spoke about Bourguiba, for instance. We have Gamal Abdel Nasser, we have Kwame Nkrumah, we have Ahmed Ben Bella, we have Patrice Lumumba. All those people, we want to be able to hear the names when the leader of the Sahel state do what they're doing, but they are not claiming that. When Assimi Goïta wants to ask the French to leave Mali, we don't hear the name of Modibo Keïta. We'll try to do that before him. So this is one of the elements, one of the difficulties that I have with the leader of the Sahel state. I appreciate, I support the fact that they want to be free to trade with whomever they want. They want to be free, and they want to free themselves from the French and from the Europeans, the Westerners. I understand that. But we need that political consciousness, that historical continuity. The second element I'm going to talk about, which is also related to the conversation, is that there are 2 things that they are not doing, the Sahel states. They have not changed the curriculum. They have not changed the educational system. We need today, when we talk about Pan-Africanism, we need to know about South Africa, about Mandela, about Sobukwe. We want to be able to know about the Algerian Revolution. I'm talking about that because as I'm doing my research, they want to know how the Arabs, the whites and the blacks and the Indians on the continent of Africa, how they managed to end the colonialism. It is only through the reform of the educational system they are not doing that. The last thing, it is the reclaiming of a Pan-African ideology, an endogenous ideology. I always talk about that. The Ubuntu philosophy, which puts emphasis on humanness and humanness, that we don't see the people in the Sahel state reclaiming. They have Maya in Mali. From time to time, they talk about it. And then they have Mutum in Niger. Barely we hear about it. And then we have Ubuntu in South Africa. We have Ubuntu in Ghana. That historical and linguistic unity of Africa. Of course, in the northern part of Africa, they have the Muslim concept of Umma. So these are things that I don't see them do. If they do that, and then with the support of the people, yes, we can have a new Pan-African vision, more dynamic than the fora and the meeting that people organize, many other elements. So I'm going to stop there. If you can hear me, thank you so much. To go quick. First, I said it 2 times. We need to reclaim the spirit of the All-Africa People's Conferences, number 1. Number 2, the People's Power Movement need to be strong. According to the Pan-African vision, it is only when people are awakened and then people are in the streets and people are lobbying the leaders that we can make them do what we want. And then also, like Dr. Laid said, there are some issues around which people should agree. For instance, if Donald Trump wants to deport some immigrants to an African country, the African Union should say, you know what, on this, each country can have its sovereignty, but on this, we need to agree that we're not going to accept any deportees, for instance, and of course, many other elements. And then this has to be also done within the Sahel states. Don't see them coordinating a foreign policy together, even though they seem to have some kind of cooperation. So thanks. Thank you very much. I love the panel. I love the discussion, and I appreciate everyone. Thank you so much, Gladys.